Okay, thanks, Adam, and it's really good to be here. It's a couple of years, actually, since I spoke last at this particular conference. And it really feels to me that the agenda around the oceans has gone from perhaps an upstart issue, fighting for attention at this, to really now being at the centre of the debate, not just, of course, in this political sphere, but it increasingly feels for businesses and consumers around Europe. We've made a lot of progress at Sky over that time. We've used our platform to drive customer awareness. We've reached something like 50 million Europeans with our campaign to give up single-use plastics. We've today eliminated 97% of those plastics from our own supply chain and will be at 100% by the end of this year. We've also set up our own Ocean Ventures Fund ourselves, and on the back of that, whole new small companies have been established to meet these changing needs, and we're particularly proud about that, and we'll be talking a little bit about that later on. Now, we've made those changes because we think they are the right thing to do, but I have to say we found them a lot easier because of the leadership that we've seen here. So whether it's from Executive Vice President Timmermans, former Vice President Katainen, or former Commissioner Vella, I just wanted to thank them for their direction over the last 2 years and the vision that the EU has shown. And we're really looking forward to working with the new Commissioner on his agenda. Now, if you compare the debate about oceans and the debate about climate, I think the different pace is really quite striking. The ocean debate has made a lot of progress, as I said, over the last 24 months. But the climate debate, the broader climate debate, has actually been slower, I think. At Sky, we're just entering our 4th decade of life. In the first decade, our business, I think the world became aware of the threat of climate change, but really very little happened, it seemed to me. In our second decade, when you might have expected action at a global scale to accelerate, there was instead a furious debate and unfortunate denial about whether climate change really existed. Our third decade has seen, I think, now a real coalition starting to form between businesses and policymakers to make progress. And of course, it's clear to us all that the next 10 years needs to really be about firm, ambitious and immediate responses that catches up to the scale of the threat. So none of us can stand still. I think we each have to accept that. We were the first media business to become carbon neutral back in 2006. We launched a campaign to save 1 billion trees in the Amazon rainforest, and I've talked about the work we've been doing on the oceans. But of course, all of those changes have been made and done, so the question for us is really what's next? And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. Because, of course, if we don't change, then we all know the implications of that. Our oceans are already warmer than they've ever been, and that's, of course, just the start. And that's not just a disaster for marine life, it's a disaster for all of us. It's really that stark. The idea out there that a business is somehow disconnected from all of this, from the environment in which it operates, that our only responsibility is to maximize profits, that the only people I owe a duty of care to are my shareholders, is, I don't think, right. In my view, that kind of Friedman-Hayek view of the world is actually wrong. Business has a responsibility to our customers, to our colleagues, to the people we don't see every day, but whom we rely on nonetheless. And so it is with the environmental ecosystem that we are part of. We depend on the environment, and we've got a responsibility to it. We are connected fundamentally to it. So I think unless big businesses, as well as small businesses, are willing to live up to their responsibilities, then we're all in trouble. So I wanted to talk about what we're going to be doing next at Sky. Our intention is that we're going to be Europe's first net zero carbon media and entertainment company. By 2030, Sky's net carbon emissions will be zero. From our operations through to our supply chain and from the use of our products by our customers. Now, net zero carbon is a phrase that we're hearing more and more about. The EU is rightly very focused on it, and we shouldn't lose sight of just how big a task that is. For us at Sky, that's going to be 30 times bigger than all of the work we've done to date. Now, we're going to do this because we believe that zero carbon, and set this zero carbon goal publicly, whether by the EU or the UK, the current goals of 2050 can't be delivered at the last minute. And if we want to hold warming below the 1.5 degree threshold, then many of us are going to have to be at the forefront and bring their own targets forward. That's why I also want to see an even more ambitious European Green New Deal. Europe's the most powerful trading bloc in the world. On trade, it is the global leader. And if we want to hold warming to the level scientists advise, then on climate, we must lead further as well. Now, there's no point, it seems to me, just arguing for the acceleration in ambition if we aren't willing to do it ourselves. So that's why we're going to do it at Sky in terms of our own impact. Now, that's going to involve change in every corner of our business that we're working through, whether it's in the supply chain, the way we work with customers, and the efficiency of our operations. We'll halve carbon emissions across our value chain. To do that, we'll draw on the lessons that we've learned about removing single-use plastics from our operations and our supply chains. We've learned that it's all about partnership, that we need our suppliers to see the value of change too if we're going to achieve our goals. And it's that kind of win-win approach, I think, about how we influence business practices right around the world, well beyond actually the borders of the EU, that's so important. So just as the EU is pivoting to face outwards, so are we. The other thing, of course, we're going to need is breakthrough innovation. We're expanding the remit of the Sky Ocean Ventures fund that we've created to go further, and we'll commit more money to do that, to develop economically and environmentally sustainable business ideas so that we too can support breakthrough technologies and offer all of the support of Sky to emerging businesses. Suppliers are important, of course, but consumers for us are key. They're the lifeblood of our business. Everyone at Sky thinks about them all the time, what they want, what they need, and how we can help them get that. And that's the approach that we're going to be taking to net zero carbon as well. So Sky News already reaches well over 100 million households across Europe each and every month. Our sports news services and channels in Germany reach people who wouldn't tune into traditional coverage of climate change. TG24 in Italy is a backbone of news there. And so we can use all of our channels and our voice to shine the spotlight on these issues and to help to drive change in our customers and our viewers' homes. Now, at the same time, we'll directly help our customers reduce their footprints by improving their own energy efficiency, by improving the energy efficiency of our products and helping them to switch to lower carbon lifestyles. And then the third element of our activity will be really to focus on reducing our own carbon footprint. Now, that's going to involve things like transitioning 5,000 vehicles to be zero emissions, continuing to invest and purchase 100% renewable energy, and of course refocusing our R&D on sustainable production and efficiency. Now, I'm clear though that if we act alone, it's not going to be enough. The commitments we're making by other companies are welcome, but we have to do more, I think, together. And that really involves the collaboration of all parts of our society, whether it's government, the economy, businesses, and that's why events like today, I think, are so important. And I think the good news is that it's something Europe can deliver. The EU, I think, has got the power within its borders and influence to build support for a zero carbon vision and then to make that vision a reality. Europe's lucky to have, I think, the leaders who take this seriously politically in our NGOs and in business, and I certainly want Sky to play its part in helping those leaders come together and get the right policy framework. I hope more businesses across the continent play their role and we move more quickly to secure a sustainable future. And I hope all of the people here in this room who are here for good reasons, play their part too. So I wanted to say thank you for having me today and hearing what I have to say. We're going to finish with a short video, I think, just to bring all of that to life. Thank you.
In 2006, we were the first media company to go carbon neutral, cutting our emissions and offsetting the rest. Now, we're going much further. This time, we're not just tackling Sky's emissions, we're launching Sky Zero, our 10-year plan to be net zero carbon by 2030. Net zero means doing zero harm to the planet through carbon emissions. We'll cut emissions created by people using Sky, by our suppliers, and by our business by at least 50%. We're making all our tech products more energy efficient. We're developing the world's most sustainable film and TV studios. We'll make every Sky original production, TV channel, show and film net zero carbon. We'll transform our 5,000 vehicles to create a zero emissions fleet. We'll plant trees, mangroves and seagrass to absorb the carbon we can't cut, yet. And we'll use our voice to call for change and inspire millions of people to go zero. Because the world can't wait. Sky, believe in better.
Jeremy, just a quick question. Virginia, as I asked you earlier about timescales, 25 years. You're giving yourself 10 years here. Why so quick?
Well, we want to get on with it. I think we've actually been involved in this area now for 10 years. So it feels to me that we've got a really good starting point. I think to achieve the goal of 2050 that we've established, it's going to need people to be at the forefront of that. My experience is that when we change ourselves, that we can take those learnings and share them with our broader supplier and community base, and that people get on board. So it feels right for us. I think people have to decide what's right for them, but I want us to get going and really be at the forefront of this.